Hayden Locke, founder, driving force, CEO of Marimaca. Welcome back to the Arlington Rapallo in the Italian Riviera.
Thank you for having me again. What an amazing spot to be.
Mate, you're looking healthier than last year. What's changed?
I'd say I've been really healthy and I've been running marathons every day, but the reality is there's been a lot going on.
Yeah.
Work, a lot of stress, and with that has come a lack of appetite, which has been both positive and negative.
Do you know what? I'm going to give you a little hint into my opening remarks a little bit later today, because I've done a survey on all the companies that were here last year and all the companies that are here now. There's a couple didn't make it for different reasons. Do you know that you are the winner of the share price performance from last year's Arlington Rapallo attendees to this year's, up 150%.
That makes me happy.
So we'll have a special...
Rarefied crowd.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll toast your success. Congratulations. What changed in a year? Why did the shares go up so much?
So we've made a lot of progress, and I'd love to say it's all about the progress that we've made, and we are really on the cusp. And I think last year I said we're at an inflection point where we are transitioning to become a developer. But the reality is we have made what we think is potentially one of the most exciting new copper discoveries, certainly in Chile in the last 10 years. And if it plays out how our geologists think it is, it could be one of the most significant new discoveries in copper.
Wow. And so tell us about it. How big could it be compared to existing resource?
So already it looks like it's going to be significantly larger than the main asset, which is, what we built the company around. It's too early to say definitively what resources could be there, but our geologists are saying it's a tier 1 opportunity. And in my mind, tier 1 is a minimum of 100,000 years of production for 20 years. Well, so that means it's multi-million tons of contained copper. If you really start dreaming big and looking at the blue sky, it's a pretty extensive opportunity. It's going to take a lot of drilling to get there, but we've just raised a whole lot of money ready to go out and keep drilling and try to define the limits of this new deposit.
So do you think, when you think of the company strategically, Hayden, does that change the strategic outlook for Marimaca in terms of what you do with the project that's almost ready to develop, and then your exploration story? Do they stay in Marimaca, or do you potentially separate them?
I think for this stage, we're going to keep it completely together, just because breaking them out, there is at least part of the Pampa Medina story, which is the name of Pampa Medina, it's complementary to the mod. So what we're saying to the market now is it's a multi-pronged strategy. Number one, the mod is very well advanced. You'll get our permits sometime before the end of the year.
End of this calendar year?
Calendar year. We will be in a position to start construction at some point during the course of next year. You've met Giancarlo, I think. We're starting to build a team that has done this before. And so we're really poised on that asset. It's small, but a beautiful little asset to start a business on. We then have a first growth project, which is the Pampa Medina oxides, which we think can add 20,000 tons of copper cathode already without any exploration success. And then the Pampa Medina sulphide discovery is significantly behind those two assets and will take a lot of drilling, but that really adds the excitement that we want as we go through the boring but necessary development phase.
Right. And I think you said to me here last year that as we're sitting over there in that restaurant that by now you would be closer to the decision point on, do you build it or do you have a strategic partner that either takes it off your hand or comes in alongside you? What's changed in the year in terms of your strategic partnerships?
So nothing's really changed. We still, I think strategically, I look at building an asset as a relatively high risk thing to do when you're a single company, no cash flow. We like to think things will go perfectly, but we know that they don't. And so being protected from cash flow would always be a nice thing to do. The other thing is there are very few copper assets of this sort of stage of development that can be taken into production relatively quickly. So I think actually we're in a really interesting position to be able to do something interesting. The biggest thing is that Greenstone at some point will have to sell its stake.
Right.
And because there are so few copper assets, there's a lot of interest in what Greenstone's going to do.
Right.
And so we are, I'd say, once we're permitted, then it becomes a very different story for potential acquirers or partners to get their head around, okay, it's now a permitted development stage copper asset in a tier 1 jurisdiction. That is quite an interesting thing for bigger companies to look at.
So by the end of calendar 2025, you think it'd be permitted for mod, the main advanced asset, power and water, anything else you got left to do? Do you need to do it apart from someone has to raise the money to build it? What are you thinking in terms of other things left to tick off?
Yeah, so we have to do a lot of detailed design and engineering, which is actually part of the CapEx. But before we're ready to build, we want to define the engineering a bit further, get it to a higher degree of maturity. Got to run the debt financing process, which is underway at the moment, and that's going well. As you can imagine, there's not very many copper stories to finance. We're filled out the team.
Yep.
Permits should be at the end of this year, which really puts us in a position to do some early works. And then next year will be about compressing the timelines so that if we make it to the deal, that we're ready to go and we could compress those timelines as much as possible. In parallel with that, we're going to continue to explore. We'll see that as a way to reduce our cost of capital as we go to the eventual construction financing, and also just retain interest to shareholders who like the excitement of exploration.
Good. And Hayden, you mentioned Giancarlo. Tell us a little bit about his background. I saw him walking around earlier in a suit. He was the best dressed bloke down below. Who is he? What's his pedigree, and why is he important to the company?
So Giancarlo, originally, when I first met him, he was the CEO of Mantos Copper, which merged with Capstone, become the new Capstone Copper.
Right.
He retired, and he's 35 years of copper mining experience in Chile.
Okay.
Very, very well-known guy. And, I just approached him and said, what are you doing with your time? Would you be interested in potentially joining the board and becoming part of a development story? Thankfully, he accepted. He's a great guy, unbelievably experienced. So he took Mantos Copper through the construction of Monteverde, the most recent large-scale copper story that was built in Chile. He has got so many contacts in the Chilean industry, but he also just really loves mining. And so I bet keep saying to him, "You sure you don't want to come out of retirement, one more executive gig?" You never know. Never say never. He really likes the asset. He sees it as an opportunity to, create a mine, and he's enjoying his involvement. So you can imagine, for me, what he adds is just an unbelievable track record. I mean, he ran Los Bronces, he ran Collahuasi, he ran Mantos Copper, Anglo Norte before there's a glide, which included Mantos Blancos and Monteverde. So he's got a lot of experience in this part of the world, and that is seriously valuable for a Ringo like me.
Mate, excellent. And maybe in closing, you said you'd be quick, and you're exactly right. What can we look forward to in the next year? Will you still exist as an independent company, Marimaca, by next year? Or maybe might you have sold the MOD project? What do you think? Within a year, what have we got to look forward to?
I think everything's on the table in terms of how we deliver the best return for our shareholders, of which our major shareholder is Greenstone, a private equity fund that needs an exit at some point. Part of the listing on Australia was to give alternatives to Greenstone. I'd say in the next 12 months, I would like there to have been a significant change in we as a company, what we're doing. We're either debt finance raised, permitted, ready to start construction, or we've done a smart transaction with somebody who needs growth and we become their growth story, or we no longer exist because, a larger copper producer have decided that actually the Moabit is a fantastic development asset that is quite rare in the industry.
And will Greenstone have sold, or do they have to sell over that next 12-month period?
They're certainly at the end of their fund life. They've had extensions, but, obviously that comes with administrative burden for their LPs. They've been in the story a long time now. It's 10 years. So I'd say it's less likely than it is likely that they're going to be in the story by the time we commence construction.
Sounds like it's game time. Hayden, thanks for coming. Hope to see you next year. Even if there's life after Marimaca, looking forward to seeing what you're doing next as well.
Thanks very much.